I guess the question is like, is there a job to use the AI well? And it certainly does seem like that. I think someone was talking about, prompt engineers does sort of seem like that. I mean, it's interesting, right? Like, how like asking a question well does seem like a critical task to using the GPT models well. And it's a really interesting skill. I mean, it totally seems like the trends are in that direction. And I've been talking to a lot of our, customers that are kind of like, thinking about this and noticing. I mean, I don't know if you saw there's a really hilarious result, right? Where if you ask the GPT a question and then you say, show your reasoning step by step after the question, it gets a lot more accurate, which is just like absolutely fascinating. Probably good advice to humans as well. But I think that stuff is really, really interesting. I don't think I think it would be, to pontificate now about where this goes, you'll probably be wrong, but I agree that it does seem like there's a new kind of job being created that currently is called prompt engineer.
Yeah, I mean, especially especially when you're trying to do something with LLMs that require context over time, prompt engineering becomes incredibly important. The context size of these models is fairly small right now. It's about 2,000 tokens, which is maybe like 4 MB, which is like of text, which is like similar to like programming in Atari or something. Like it's fairly early days. Requires similar to like programming early video games. You had to do a lot of trickery to figure out how to fit things into memory. And so I think prompt engineering is pretty low level sort of thing right now. And you need to be, I see a lot of amazing engineering that goes into that. For example, like there's this trick I learned about recently where, let's say you have a large corpus of things that the LLM is supposed to be answering questions about. And you can't put the entire thing into context. So what you do is you take the embeddings, which is the internal representation of the text of the question, and then you have an index of all the embeddings of the corpus or the data that you have, and then you match those embeddings in order to figure out which context it include into the prompt. It has like pretty amazing sort of algorithm, and yeah, I think it's going to be a specialty. Even if they solve the context length issue, you're still gonna have to be economical about it, because you don't want to be slugging this data back and forth between the server and the client. And so in addition to sort of having these prompt tricks that Lukas talked about, there's also just like low level engineering of like how much context to introduce for the LLM to be